Everyone, I'd like to welcome you to the Cook County Board of Commissioners Annual Organizational Meeting. And if we'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So as we begin this morning, first item on our agenda is oaths of office. And we have Kim Shepard here from our court administration to provide those oaths. So we have District 2 Commissioner Gary Gamble, myself for District 4, and our County Attorney Jean Peterson.
All stand and you raise your right hands and repeat after me. I do swear and affirm
I do swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will be diligent, faithful, and impartial
and that I will be diligent, faithful, and impartial
in the performance of the duties of the office
in the performance of the duties of the office
to which I have been appointed or elected
to which I have been appointed or elected
for the County of Cook,
for the County of Cook,
in the State of Minnesota,
in the State of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
to the best of my judgment and ability,
in accordance with the law.
in accordance with the law.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
And then
You need
she'll
to
have papers for you to sign.
Surely.
Doesn't feel any different.
Wearing the shoes, jeans.
So that now we have concluded our oaths of office, the public might want to know what happens with those. And we do sign those as officers, and then they are housed in our administrative office. So that's where they will go following this meeting. So the next item on our agenda is election of our 2025 Cook County Board Chair. And we all have new handbooks. You've received that either electronically or a copy in print. And in that handbook, it talks a little bit about the roles and responsibilities of the leadership group, both the board chair and vice chair. And one of the things, just so that the public knows, is that we always make sure we're prepared for every meeting. We have our handbook, which we'll have electronically on our laptops as well as our hard copies. We have Robert's Rules of Order, which we always keep in case we need to refer to that during our meeting. A list of all our committees, and I want to thank Jana for making hard copies for us so that today as we do our work, it will make it much easier. And then we have our printed agenda and a little bit of a guide for public comment. So that is something that's always up here for leadership to refer to. As we get started, first of all, same question I asked last year and the year before and the year before. Is there someone who would be interested in serving as our Cook County Board Chair this year?
Madam Chair, I do think that it's good to have rotation. And in visiting with other commissioners over the years, some do it very succinctly, like District 1 down to 5 and so forth. We haven't done that here, but maybe I could start. District 5 I represent, so I would be willing to chair for this year.
Thank you. Are there other commissioners that are interested in serving as chair? Well, I would make a nomination then to recommend that Jenny Storley be elected as our Cook County Board Chair for 2025.
Support?
Thank you. We have support. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations,
Thanks, Jenny.
Commissioner Storley and Madam Chair. So we will let you come over here.
I'll just
And-
stay here
You want to stay here for today? Okay.
for the year.
Oh, for the year.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We might want to discuss that just in terms of some emergency procedures and things like that. It might be important for you to be in this location.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, all right, thank you much. All right, we'll let you take it from there.
Okay. So then we're going to move on to the election of 2025 Board Vice Chair. Nominations or anyone interested?
I'll step up
Okay.
or stay as I am now, I guess.
Thank you, Commissioner Mills.
Well,
No, not me.
you're not,
Would our new commissioner be interested? But I do,
have you been vice chair before?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I mean, I would be interested. I realize I'm stepping into the position, in this term, but have served in the position before, and given that experience and previous experience in positions, I would be open to it.
Okay.
Ann?
I'd be willing to do it as well, but, I real frankly have done this for 3 years and was vice chair prior to that. So I guess my thought is, and Gary, I appreciate your experience, but I would like you to maybe be with us for a year prior to being in that role. So I guess I would nominate for Commissioner Mills to continue in the role as board chair.
Okay.
Is there support?
So are there any other nominations? Okay. So we will accept Commissioner
Well,
Mills.
we need a second for
Yeah.
that motion.
We'll
I don't believe we need seconds when it comes to making decisions on these positions.
Okay,
All we have is a nomination, and then it goes to the vote.
thank you.
Just
showing your skill.
reiterate that Commissioner Mills is willing to step up for this year. So that would be, thank you for doing that. And we will take a vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. So now we're good to go here. So are there any additions or adjustments to the agenda right now?
I don't
Okay,
have any.
motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved?
Support?
Any comments or questions on that? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We have a public comment period right now and an opportunity for citizens to appear before the board. I see none. So have any of us received any comments or emails? Okay. So we have before us now the meeting schedule for the Board of Commissioners. And all of you have had a chance to look this over, I assume you have too? Okay, and so I guess we would just start with going over each district to start with, if there's any changes, or you've had time to think about different committees and groups that maybe aren't moving along as you think they are, or to make some adjustments. I know that it's been the past that we try to equalize everything that we can, but it's pretty hard because of all the things that we've been involved in for a period of time, and then when new commissioners come on board, they take over what's already listed. So, and I think we've done a pretty good job in working that through as best we can for the boards and commissions. So I feel that we should start with District 1 and just start with Commissioner White, and she can advise us if there's anything that she feels needs to be changed.
I would like to not be, I'd rather be the alternate on the AMC Indian Affairs Task Force. And, I mean, switch with Ann Sullivan on that one. And
And I'm comfortable with that. I'm always there anyway, so.
Yeah, okay.
I would like to be the primary on the Highway Advisory Committee. I had been the alternate. That had been in District 2.
And so the alternate for the Highway Advisory Committee, do you have in mind who that might be?
I care not, whomever would
Okay.
have an interest in it. And other than that, it looks, Northeast Minnesota. No, that looks good. But I'm willing to change things if people, as we go along. So. Oh, wait, the Northern Counties Land Use. I have spoken with our new commissioner, and he is giving up the primary position that Commissioner Johnson's had on the Highway Committee. And he had expressed an interest in the Northern Counties Land Use Board because he had been there before. He has established relationships, and that is very good with him. So I would be at this moment, you're the alternate, David.
Okay, yep. I'm fine with that.
You would be the primary then on Northern Counties?
I would,
You would be?
yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
Okay. And then moving on to District 2.
Madam Chair, I'm comfortable assuming Commissioner Johnson's assignments, with the exception of the change that was made with Commissioner White, that I would defer the Highway Advisory Committee to her and then assume the primary role with N Club, Northern Counties. Otherwise, everything else I'm comfortable with. There was some discussion about the HRA position that Commissioner Johnson was primary on, whether that would be a conflict of interest or not for me. However, that is a non-voting position, and I have over 15 years of experience in the housing area and have attended a number of workshops both regionally and locally, so I think that perspective would lend itself on that particular board. So, just to reiterate, I'm comfortable assuming the positions that Commissioner Johnson served in on assignments with that one change with Commissioner White.
And Commissioner Gamble, did you want to be the alternate for the Highway Advisory Board, or would you be willing to give that up?
Whatever. I felt that in the discussion with Commissioner White, that given the number of miles of road in that district compared to District 2,
Yeah.
that it would be beneficial to have her voice represent her district in that regard. So for me, it's just a matter of how things align. I'm willing, but whatever.
I would be very interested in serving as the alternate. District 4 has a lot of miles
Sure.
of road, and there's a lot of construction
Yeah.
there this year.
And I think that makes sense, that we have representation when we have so many miles of roads in those particular districts, so.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be willing to serve as alternate. With the HRA, I guess, Attorney Peterson, do you have any recommendations?
I don't have a recommendation, I guess. I just would say that with it being a non-voting position, under the statute, the conflict is actually broader than just voting, so that any attempt to influence is prohibited where there is a potential conflict. So with that understanding, I think that you can make that call.
Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you on that. So that takes care of your committees and boards?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Commissioner Mills?
Madam Chair, whereas I appreciate Commissioner Gamble's experience with housing and the workshops, I believe Commissioner Sullivan's been the alternate there since its formation. And so I'm just worried about the state of the HRA currently, as well as just the projects going forward and continuity there.
I can say I'm currently involved in the interviews for the HRA director. We're in that process and interviewing this week, and we've gathered that. I don't know if that makes a significant difference to this group or not, but we recognize there would be transition time when we'd be evaluating the applications, and so I've been working on it.
And so is housing something you've been advocating for, or I just haven't heard, or I'm not aware?
I've participated in housing things, like I say, both regionally prior to my first term as a commissioner, and since that time, and have attended a number of workshops and have been involved with the agencies that are involved with housing. So, like I say, I think that perspective over 15 years has value.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just concerned, like I said, about the continuity, and very willing to forgive and not forget. When I was on the city council, I remember the first housing project was voted against by yourself, and so I just have concerns about the need and the advocacy for housing.
The first housing project was voted against by me?
I believe so.
Is that what you were saying? I have no recollection at all of that.
Okay.
Relative to the housing issue, addressing housing issues was making housing affordable. And in our discussions that we had locally at Lutzen with multiple players, the initial focus was on profitability, opportunities. And I said that seems to be in conflict with affordable housing, looking for opportunities to make money, which there's a reasonable amount of money that can be made, but certainly we need to look at it not initially from a profitability opportunity, but from an opportunity of serving an existing need. So I would have never have been against housing, knowing that 99% of the calls that I get relative to housing are people that just can't find housing up here. It is a problem, but it needs to be addressed in a way that is financially viable and meets real need while being fiscally responsible.
I'm wondering if it still would be applicable for Commissioner Sullivan to continue with working with the area that you have been until the hiring is taken care of?
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm comfortable being an alternate, and Gary, just so you know, I always go to those meetings. Commissioner
Sure.
Johnson and I were always there as a team.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, great.
Because there's some committees and boards that two of us are attending it, so that's not unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, very good.
Yeah, my
Yes.
understanding, Madam Chair, just to
Yes.
clarify, in previous term was that any board member is provided the opportunity to attend any of the assignments, just with the understanding that the primary is the one that, when it comes to per diem or anything else, and expenses, that's been agreed to as the compensation. However, participation is encouraged, but with that understanding.
Correct. And the one thing we do have to be careful, Madam Chair and Commissioner Gamble,
It's
is
three.
that three.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we've had city council meetings, we've had some awkward moments where, like, who leaves?
Yeah.
And so we just need to be very cognizant, and I think communication between all of us is
Yeah.
really critical.
And
Yes.
just also, I believe in our bylaws, it's 3 or 4 meetings that an alternate can claim per diem for doubling up on. Of course, they're always allowed and encouraged to attend, but there is an opportunity for some compensation just if the situation arises there.
There's one meeting of the county extension that 2 of us are on, Commissioner Johnson and myself, so you would be then with that
Sure.
committee. That's the only one that I know of right now.
That's always had two, and I was on that previous as well.
Yeah, that's the only one right now.
Same with
that's-
AMC, I believe.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
AMC, there's lots with AMC.
Yeah.
Okay, so that takes care of you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on then to District 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Couple scheduling changes. The library board now meets on the 4th Thursday of the month at 5 o'clock. Benefits and Wellness meets the 2nd Thursday of the month. And I believe that's at 10, is it 10:30? Sorry.
10:30.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry, 10 o'clock. My mistake. There are some other ones that are in flux. For instance, the Parks and Trails had been monthly. It's gone down to every other month. It's also gone to quarter, and so I'm not sure where things are going to be at there. But that is still the day, I believe.
So Commissioner Mills,
Yes.
who would be your alternate then?
I'm not aware. I guess that would be Commissioner Gamble. I think Commissioner Johnson was the
Okay.
alternate. And then, let's see here, the Children's Justice Initiative, I believe we've met a total of 2 times. I'm not sure if the intention is quarterly or maybe just as needed, but just wanted to report on that. And I believe that's all the oh, and then the Northwoods Food Project also is having a scheduling change there. And I don't know if it's been voted on yet by them. Go ahead here. It looks like second Wednesday at 3 p.m. is the new time. I think that's all the changes.
That takes care of your changes then?
I believe so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Things are always in flux,
Yeah.
as we know over the years. Okay, then moving on to District 4, Commissioner Sullivan.
So for AMC Indian Affairs Task Force, I would change from alternate to primary as discussed with Commissioner White. Everything else would stay the same, except I would add Highway Advisory as an alternate. And all the times as of this point are accurate and dates. Knowing sometimes those do change in January, so we may, towards the end of the month, want to put this on an agenda just to review. And I would encourage any commissioners who are leaving a position and switching with another commissioner to make sure to inform that group so that the new person accepting those primary responsibilities will get the emails, the notifications. And I know that Commissioner Hawkins or Commissioner Johnson was very good with doing that prior to her departure. All right, that should do it for me.
Commissioner Sterling, I forgot, but I would like to be on the Personnel Committee. Even as the alternate, I see here that Ann is on the Personnel Committee, and there's not an alternate listed.
Commissioner Hawkins, that has two commissioners. So.
Oh, I see.
Yep, so
And.
Commissioner
yeah,
Gamble would be on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I served on that committee before, which I feel is a very important committee.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so that takes care of you, all right. Then we will move on to my district, which is 5. Starting off with the Aquatic Invasive Species Advisory. Because I have a little bit of a conflict with that, then I'm wondering, because you are on the committees for the Lakes Association.
Yeah, I'd be
Commissioner
happy to
Sullivan,
take that.
if you could do that. And then Commissioner White would still be the alternate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Chair,
yes.
one thing I would like to bring up is, in your role as chair, make sure that you have Budget Facilities Advisory. That is something that comes with the chair position, and also the Security Committee. That's noted on our sheet, but just so you're aware and everyone else is aware.
So that would be the only change that I would have. I still do the townships because they're the only ones in the county,
And they're still there?
and they're still there,
All right.
yes. And they're always very interesting, to say the least. Okay.
So Chair Storley, we have a couple of emails that we've received about other committees. First of all, from Commissioner Johnson, if you'll recall back in November, she indicated that there's a rotating commissioner seat with the ARC, and it appears that this year we are to have a second commissioner on that board who is eligible to vote. Arrowhead Regional Counties. So is there a commissioner that would be interested in that?
I would be interested in that, as said on that previously.
Yeah, and so you would move, so rather than an alternate, you would be a second primary.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then another email that we had was from Grace Grenager with Public Health and Human Services. They are forming a food access council, and they do not have a regular meeting date determined. But my question would be is, Commissioner Mills, because you have been on the, let's see, it's North Shore Food.
The Northwoods Food Project?
Northwoods Food Project. If that is something that you would find interesting or appealing, and it might fit with that other group.
Yeah, certainly the interest.
Probably depends on.
And I think I think it probably would fit well, but yeah, the scheduling could be an issue. Also, my understanding, the differences there is the food production versus the food access, and so when I think food access, I often also think of the food shelf, and the workings there. I don't know if that has any overlap with the hub or if it's just shared building.
No, I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
you should take this,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, when the schedule is determined, I think. I'd
Okay.
be-
So
Thank
we
you on that.
yeah.
tentatively have you for the Food Access Council.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, my understanding is Commissioner Johnson was talking about ARC, not ARDC. And so,
Right.
and so Commissioner Johnson was not the alternate for ARC. So Commissioner Gamble would be serving in Commissioner Johnson's stead on ARC already. So we need a second commissioner to join Commissioner Gamble.
All right.
Or we don't need, this is our opportunity to have a second voting member there. And so that is the third Friday of the month at 10 a.m. in Duluth.
As it's stated here right now, Commissioner White is the alternate.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when is that?
The third Friday
Friday.
in Duluth. Is
Okay.
that something you'd be able to do?
Sure.
Great. And then one other additional piece that we got from AMC is the Solid Waste Committee. That's going to be a very significant legislative initiative this year, and because of our transfer station and the remote location, it's very important that we be involved. I know Commissioner Mills has applied for that through AMC. I have applied as well. We won't know till later this week when the applications are reviewed if one of us or both of us might be on that. But I would just bring that up as something that we would want to discuss in the future once we hear back from AMC as an additional committee.
Commissioner Mills?
Madam Chair, knowing that Commissioner Sullivan applied, I might ask AMC to withdraw my name. I just wanted to make sure we had representation if possible, but I can talk with them about that and just see what they think of that too. so.
Okay.
You don't know what the schedule is and so forth?
No, we don't.
If there's remote or you have to, go to St. Paul or
Yeah.
whatever?
I imagine there will be some work in St. Paul related to this. And I know I spoke with Administrator Watkins and also with Tim Nelson just about what they felt in terms of the value of being part of that.
Mhm.
They're very supportive. So I think it's something we may want to add to our list at a later date.
Mhm. Thank you for
Comes
doing
to
that.
fruition for either one of us.
So anything else before we move on? Everything?
Madam Chair, I would highly recommend, and maybe the board has done this previous, but that we set aside some time to evaluate commissioner assignments. Given all these boards, I can look at this and compare it to my first term as commissioner and the number of, different appointments that were made, and we've got significantly more. There are some that have not met, and I think if we step back and we take a look at the intent and what our hope for results are in participating in things, it might help discipline some of our approach as to the benefit we receive and how best to do that so that it doesn't add additional cost and take additional resource of time. But it's always healthy to evaluate in the context of benefit. And I know in my first term, I sat on the board, and after a while, it became apparent that the leadership in that board was questionable, and what was driving the board wasn't in the best interest of our county. And so I made a recommendation to the board, you may or may not recall, that we withdraw from participation in that. And so if we have some criteria that defines what it is in our objective in participating in these things, it will help us to evaluate that in a way I think that it'll bring some integrity to what we do when we add these responsibilities additionally to commissioners. So I would just make a recommendation that we would set aside some time to be able to do that.
That's a good idea. I think that over the years with Commissioner Sullivan being chair, we've really winnowed this down quite a bit. And so there's no problem as far as doing it again, maybe in 3-4 months, look at it again.
Yeah.
I would say in my situation, I've added a lot of situations to my boards and
Yeah.
commissions, but so far I've been able to carry them out. So
Yeah.
I think that it's always an ongoing, well, this really has not met, so we can scratch that any time of the year.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, we did have a request from citizens that wanted to participate, want to know if they could receive a per diem or travel expenses if they attended boards that we were not part of. And so I established a document that established the criteria under which we as a board would either confirm or not confirm that participation. And it's all based upon what our objective is and the benefit back to the county for that participation. So that's what I'm saying. It'd be helpful to do that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Yes, one thing I'd like to bring up is that I believe we all remember that Commissioner Johnson brought up a number of months ago concern about the hospital board, that might be one of those boards that we'd want to reevaluate. So I think that would be an example of one that we would want to,
Yeah.
take some time to discuss what's the purpose, what's the role, and the fact that we have an invitation to them to attend our PHHS.
Yeah, yeah. And Madam Chair, I think that those things are good. I think it's just healthy to step back and take a look at it. There's some boards that I've sat on that are still existing boards that I'd be sitting on that I always wondered, why, as a representative of Cook County, am I here? In other words, what is the return in that participation other than another voice to contribute to the discussions? Does it have a benefit that reciprocates to the county? And I think that's our primary. And when you look at resources of both money and time, I think it's important that you focus on those things that have the greatest degree of benefit. So.
One of the things, Commissioner White, you brought up last year was the, I'm trying to remember the name of the group, met in Grand Portage, and they were doing wolf and moose research.
I did not attend that, but they
Oh.
were, yes, that was, I had a conflict on, I was there with the
Conflict?
beach,
Oh.
there was a big beach conference there, I remember, and that was very enlightening and helpful. But no, I didn't go to the wolf one.
Okay, all right. So anyway, there certainly are things that we should continually evaluate for maybe taking them off the list or not having somebody assigned to them, but then adding things where appropriate, where it might be beneficial to our county to have representation.
And that particular event, was it like a one-time?
Was it Heart of the Continent?
I don't recall the title of that, but like, well, let's just say like with the beach, and then there was another one, don't recall what they called it. But it's not an ongoing,
It's temporary.
It was a temporary, it was an opportunity to hear varied speakers from different reservations and from different governmental agencies on the topic. And so water is a huge issue that has been focused on in Grand Portage. So it's just an opportunity to go and learn is what it really is. And there has always been an expressed, the first time, Billy Blackwell said, and we want to thank our commissioner, so would you please stand up? And it's like, but I was just there eating and learning things, so. But it's appreciated that we attend and to know what's going on as much as we can.
That reminds me of an example where I was in Duluth for meetings, then going up to Virginia for a meeting, but on the way I had stopped off to IRRB for their first gathering. And, that was just a sidebar. I didn't charge anything for per diem or anything like that. So these things come up, and we acknowledge them in the best way we can. So that's these examples will come along, and we will handle it or ask a question. What do you think? Should we, as in Child Care Solutions, I came forward to work on that committee, cannabis and so forth, and they were like in the middle of the year, but the appointment was there, and so that's part of my duties to attend those meetings and be a part of that board and commission. So anything else that you have, Commissioner Sullivan?
Nothing else that I have. I will go through with my formula and update to make sure these are as balanced as possible, and we'll bring this to our first business meeting so that everyone can take a look at it. Or I can email it to you before then. I'll probably finish it today.
Sure. Whatever works out between you and Jana.
Okay.
So before we move on to
You see it?
the other areas, just to go through to see who's on the committees and so forth, I just would like to welcome Attorney Peterson to our board this year, and we look forward to working with you, and hopefully it won't be too heavy a year for you, but I know with your experience and background, you'll be here for us when we need you to.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And to Commissioner Gamble joining us now for this year. Welcome him on the board. Things have changed since we were together a few years ago. One of the biggest changes, of course, is COVID. And many of our meetings now are, remote, which is really nice. That we can stay home in our office or kitchen or wherever we meet and have those meetings. So that I would say that's the biggest change. Other than that, we've moved along, I think, in great steps with housing and making sure that we're updating our buildings and so forth. So there'll be a lot of same old, but there'll be a lot of new things that we'll be discussing. So I welcome you aboard.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I just comment relative to the effects of COVID and meetings, a lot of them going in video conferencing. I'd be interested in knowing, I did talk to Brady yesterday and asked him if he could give me a cost relative to our assignments when it comes to per diems and travel and lodging. And for 2024, I believe the figure that you'd given me was approximately around $60,000. It was $59,900 and some dollars, $60,000. It'd be interesting to look pre-COVID to see what those costs were. Because when you're comparing figures from year to year, you'll find that there's other things that affect that, because it's not comparing apples to apples, and certainly COVID affected that. So when we see the video conferencing and how that has affected especially our travel side of things, it would be interesting to look at that. And in the evaluation of assignments, any area that you have significant expenditure, that certainly influences some of your decision making. It's something you want to look at. But I was actually surprised that the 60,000 figure was what it was, because I would have anticipated it being more. But again, I think that the video conferencing has reduced a lot of that cost. So, and that included conferences as well, which conference registration and housing there has significant.
And I'd also like to welcome back our interim administrator, Rowan Watkins, and he's been giving us updates as to the applications that are coming in. It all looks interesting, to say the least, with numbers. And I believe we had till the 15th?
Posting until the 15th, yeah.
So that's next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Wednesday. Yeah. So that'll be another step that a lot of our work kind of is still us helping Administrator Rowan to do the work, and then the next big step is to look over the applicants that the DDA sends us, and then work with them and so forth with the actual folks who they feel would be appropriate for background and so forth, experience to work in our county. So that's, in one way, it's really exciting. And it's still a lot of work, though, to come up, because we have important tasks for the administrator to do, and to work with them in conjunction with living here in the county and being a part of our community too. So we'll hear more from you on that, I'm sure. So the list that we have with the advisory, active living, do you want to go through that again and look it over, or how do you feel about that? Did everybody have a chance to look at it for any changes? It's good that we have who's on the advisory committees and who's on the boards and all that. Are there any questions about that, or? everybody's fine with that, then we'll move on. Good, thank you for printing all that off, too. Appreciate it.
Oh, Madam Chair, are you talking about the second document, the board
Yeah.
management report? Is that
Yeah.
there's a little bit on there that might be worth, I'd rather not go, I'd rather not go line by line necessarily,
Right.
but as I was scrolling through, I did notice that my name is listed on the Cook County Historical Society, which is,
You're an alternate.
okay, but that's the only name listed there.
Yeah.
And so there's some updating we could do there, but I think
Yeah.
that whole list
Mhm.
can be, created via our assignment list. So I
Right.
don't feel that need.
Yeah, I didn't see any changes there also,
Okay.
other than just knowing who's on. And quite a few of the vacancies, too.
Mhm.
Was kind of interesting to
Mhm.
observe where it is actually all over our community, too, isn't it? Vacancies for folks to step up. Okay. If there aren't any other questions about that, we'll move on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is the approval of newspaper for legal publications. We're required to have a newspaper for our legal publications, and we asked for responses to our bid proposal, and we got one response from the Cook County News Herald in your packet. So no change in the price from last year. It's $9 a column inch for legals, and then you see some other rates for other types of advertising that we do that aren't legals. And all of those are the same as last year also, so. Someone would like to make a motion and approve that?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the bid for publication of legal notices by the Cook County News Herald.
Any questions or comments?
I support that.
All in favor? Aye.
Right?
Opposed, same sign? Okay.
And Madam Chair, I think we need a motion, and I'll make such motion to approve the commissioner assignments for 2025.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
And we are also required to designate a depository, a primary depository for our funds. And I'm asking you to approve Grand Marais State Bank. Actually, I have, by policy, you've given me, previous boards have given me the authority to name that, so I'd still like, I'd like your concurrence
A resolution.
in a motion, yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair. Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve by resolution Grand Marais State Bank as our primary depository for 2025.
Is there support?
Support.
Commissioner White, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign?
Oh, Madam Chair, another, I believe we also need a motion, and I'll make such motion, to approve the regular schedule for our board for 2025. I'm working backwards, I'm sorry.
I was wondering.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, thank you.
And the last item I have is just a resolution approving our non-county levies. This is just to formalize this process of all the levies that other entities have approved and that we approved to spread those on the tax rolls, collect them and send them back to them.
Any questions or comments? I'll hear a motion on this.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
Support?
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And moving on to item 10, interim administrator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you mentioned, our search for county administrator continues. We, at this point, have 26 applicants varied backgrounds, including governmental and private sector experience. And DDA, who we're working with for the search, says it's normal for us to see an influx of applicants in the last 2 weeks, which we are just now entering into. So I would expect us to have a pretty good pool of applicants, numbers-wise, to look at. Other updates, briefly, are our capital projects. The LEC project continues to move forward with our design team. Tentatively, looking to have a schematic design to come before the board towards the end of February, based on the timeline that we've been given from BKB. Remodel for the basement to address some immediate space needs is moving forward, and we hope to hear from North Shore Waste later this month on some information they have about our transfer station project there as well. And that's all I have. I stand for questions if there are any.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
The only comment is I appreciate your stepping up and taking the responsibility on behalf of the people of this county to fill that position. You're a good man for that position, and I just want to acknowledge that it's another thing to add to your plate, but we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We all work together to support each other in this situation, and appreciate you also, Administrator Interim Watkins, for what you've been doing and keeping us posted with what's happening too. Appreciate all that. Any other business? We'll hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Do we have a photographer coming?
Todd was here.
Coming back. He was here.
Oh.
and he's
Okay.
coming back.
Okay.